Cavara, Alta Badia. Welcome to the GCN Show.
From the inaugural edition of the Haute Route Rockies, welcome to the GCN Show.
From Lviv, Ukraine,
welcome to the GCN Show.
Welcome to the GCN Show from the Maratona de les Dolomites.
Yes, if we are looking tired, that is because we are, more than tired in fact. Coming up, a huge tech extravaganza. New bikes from Canyon, Orbea, Trek, Liv, Giant, Villiers and a whole lot more. And a new helmet from Kask.
And don't forget, the Tour de France has started. We discussed the first two stages, including some pretty awful crashes. We absolutely love this time of year. The sun is shining. Well, it kind of was
Yeah.
a little bit earlier on, but some of the best races in the world are taking place. But best of all, we get to feast our eyes on a shed load of new bikes.
Yeah, there's so much we need to crack straight on. So first up, Canyon have taken their Speedmax time trial bike and given it a special paint job for their German time trial champ, Tony Martin. Now, it's a special collaboration with the legendary electronic group Kraftwerk, and Sai got to take a closer look at that, so you can see a separate video if you so wish. Trek have given us more details on their new Emonda, which we saw Alberto Contador using at the Criterium de Dauphiné recently. And once again, Sai got to take a closer look at that, which is also in a separate video.
And Coffeeless rides have been spotted on a brand new Orbea Orca Aero, which, yet again, Sai got to get a look at.
Yeah, he's getting all the new tech he's getting.
I know, a bit cheeky really.
I must admit, I do like the look of that new Orbea. I'm hoping to get my hands on one at some point.
I'd quite like to get my hands on those as well. Anyway, UAE Team Emirates have been spotted riding the new Colnago V2R, which replaces the V1R, featuring new tubing profiles, as well as the brake moving from the bottom bracket, as it was in the V1R, up to the rear stays. It weighs in at 835 grams, which is the same weight as last year's iteration, but with added stiffness on the head tube and the bottom bracket.
Interesting. Meanwhile, Team Sunweb's Michael Matthews looks set to ride some stages of the Tour de France on a brand new Giant Propel disc brake bike. Now, apart from the different braking system, there are a few other notable differences in the new frame. First up, the head tube and the down tube are notably beefier than its predecessor. What I found most notable was the fact that the cable routing is extremely neat, i.e. you can barely see any cables. Now, this is something fairly common these days on standard rim brake bikes. However, it's much more difficult to do with disc brake bikes, which are generally hydraulic.
Argon 18 have launched their brand new Gallium model called the Gallium Pro 2018. However, it has already been ridden with some success, we may add, by Jakob Fuglsang, who of course took out the Criterium du Dauphiné. Quite a debut for that frame. And it weighs in at 794 grams, making it the lightest ever frame, and it also goes with the trend of wider tyre clearance as well.
Yeah, 2-stage wins and the overall, that is quite a debut for a brand new bike, isn't it? Meanwhile, Merida have finally released the third version of their aero bike, the Reacto. They claim it's 5% more aero at 45 kilometers per hour, and they've achieved it through slimmer tubing. The seat stays are lowered, which is a trend we've also seen with other bikes fairly recently, and they've also made the seat stays slimmer, which adds compliance and therefore comfort. But incredibly, they have saved 17% in weight of the entire frame set versus the predecessor.
17%?
That's not to be sniffed at, 17%.
Willier have created an endurance version of their Cento 10 model.
Otherwise known as 110.
That's right.
110.
You are good at Italian, aren't you?
No, not really.
Now, as an endurance bike, it features a longer head tube and a shorter reach, but for the most part, all of the tubes are pretty aerodynamic. It also comes in rim and disc brake options, with the latter offering clearance for 32mm tyres.
Liv have unveiled a brand new featherweight climbing bike for women. How light? Well, it tips the scales well under the UCI's weight limit at 6.05 kilograms for a size small. And certainly Team Sunweb's riders have been very much looking forward to using this new climbing model called the Langma, and we will be seeing it in action at the Giro Rosso, which is taking place as we speak.
And finally, take a deep breath. Team Sky are using a brand new Kask helmet called the Vallegro, or the Vallegro. with a focus on ventilation. And it weighs in, get this, at only 180 grams. And will be available to buy for the general public in December.
That's got to be one of the lightest helmets out there, isn't it?
It's got to be.
Right, that was a bumper week in tech.
It's now time for cycling shorts.
Now, you may have noticed a few social media posts from Cy recently about the fact that he rode 400 kilometres in one day. Now, we didn't do this randomly. He actually teamed up with legendary endurance cyclist Marc on the first day of his attempt to break the world record for riding around the world. Now, poor old Cy had to wake up at 3:30 in the morning in Paris. And at the time of filming this, as the sun's setting, he still hasn't finished.
No, when he last texted us, he'd done 11 hours, but he still had 4 hours to go. I think he was mentally already cracked. But I don't know what you mean, poor old Cy. What about poor old Marc Beaumont? He's going to keep this regime going for the next 79 days.
It makes me feel poorly just thinking about it.
Yeah, if he wants to beat that record, it really is mind-boggling. It puts the frighteners up me, if I'm completely honest. Well, from one epic endurance challenge to another, you have seen quite a few Everest attempts and people that have done Everesting challenges over the last few years on the GCN Show, but we've never had a double Everesting attempt, but someone has done it. Taylor Kendall and Andrew Means brought this ride to our attention from Daniel Perry, who did manage to do the double Everesting in order to raise awareness for cancer research and also to raise money for them as well. And I think this deserves a Wattage bazooka for viewers for this week, because just take a look at these numbers.
They are nuts. Over at the Tour de France, there was controversy before the race had even started. Now, Andre Cardoso of Trek Segafredo, he actually didn't start the race after an out-of-competition test saw him produce a non-negative A sample for EPO. But what we want to dwell on is the Dutch national champions jersey of Raymond Sinkeldam.
Yeah, this one caused a social media storm, didn't it? It was outcry when this jersey was revealed by Team Sunweb. A far cry from the normal tricolour, which is seen by Dylan Groenewegen last year and by many Dutch national champions before him. And interestingly, his teammate at Team Sunweb, Tom Dumoulin,
Full Monty.
when he's wearing the Dutch national champions time trial skin suit, it is the full Monty.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, going the other way is Team Astana. You might remember that Vincenzo Nibali, when he was Italian national champion, looked more like a Hungarian national champion. But they seem to have learnt their lesson, because this is the jersey that Fabio Aru will be wearing on the roads of the Tour de France this year. And I think that looks very good.
It's a proper tricolore. Far less controversial, we think, is the rap single by Andre Greipel. Yeah, you heard that right. The gorilla himself has recorded a new rap ahead of this year's Tour de France. And in fact, it's something he's done for the last few years. And this year's single is called Go Gorilla.
Go Gorilla.
Yeah, something like that, Dan. Yeah, he'll probably be in touch. All the proceeds of the single go towards a charity fighting the nervous system disease, ALS. And you can actually download that on iTunes.
I wonder if he will call us to be backing singers this time next year. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, well, especially after my Essential Spares rap. You never know. Two and two.
Gotta be two.
Two tie levers.
Gotta be two.
Couple of little patches.
Optional.
And a mini pump.
Big or small.
And a multi-tool.
Ideally with a chain link extractor. Or maybe he won't call us then. There's a new rule this year at the Tour de France. In bunch sprints in 2017, there will now need to be a 3-second gap between the last rider from one group to the first rider of the next group on the road, for there to be an official gap in the classification of that stage. They are hoping it is going to reduce nervousness and therefore crashes, and that perhaps the GC riders won't be quite so concerned at being right at the front and mixing it up with the GC sprinters, although Aru was top 10 on the first road stage.
He was 9th, wasn't he? Good ride. Put away Matthews, didn't he? Now, Peter Sagan has teamed up with Eurosport ahead of the Tour de France, which is really cool because it means you have your chance to ask Peter Sagan whatever you want, and Eurosport will then pose a selection of those questions to him after every single stage. And to do that, you need to use the hashtag AskSagan on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Eurosport, of course.
Yeah, contract news now, and Chris Froome, the best Tour de France rider currently in the pro peloton, has announced with his team Sky that he's extended his contract now until 2020. Quite a few riders have extended their contract. His teammate Geraint Thomas, who won the yellow jersey on the first stage of the race this year, has extended by a further year. Richie Porte has extended by a couple of years, I think, at Team BMC, and Corinne Rivera has extended her contract at Team Sunweb.
I do like all the transfer news this time of year, but I guess we're going to have to wait till August the 1st till things become official. Now we've got another really cool competition for you this week. up for grabs is a GoPro Hero 5 session. Now all you have to do to enter is click the link in the description below this video, answer a few simple questions, and that GoPro could be yours.
It could indeed. We will be announcing the 10 winners of the Continental tyres and kit in next week's GCN show, because as we record this on Sunday at the Maratona, the competition is yet to close. Let's start racing news with some TDF chat, shall we? The opening 14-kilometre individual time trial around the city of Dusseldorf in Germany was won by Team Sky's Geraint Thomas. He finished 5 seconds ahead of the Swiss time trial champion from Team BMC, Stefan Kung, and of course took the first yellow jersey of the race in the protest. Now Thomas's form was a little bit of an unknown coming into the Tour de France because we haven't seen him race since he exited the Giro d'Italia through injury, but on that performance it looks like he's been well flying, doesn't it? And I think that is deserving of this week's Pro Wattage bazooka.
I think I'll definitely second that. But teammate and of course defending champion Chris Froome, well, he was the big winner from the general classification contenders. Just look at the time gaps that he put in to a lot of the other favourites.
Yeah, those are some pretty big gaps already on the very first day of the race, aren't we? A big blow to all those guys behind Froome. Nairo Quintana, meanwhile, was dealt a double blow because his teammate Alejandro Valverde was forced to withdraw from the race after a horrific crash. He hit the barriers at some speed, he fractured his leg and fractured his kneecap, which required surgery, and it looks like he's going to be out for the rest of the season.
And at 37 years of age, let's hope it's not a career-threatening injury as well. So all the best with your recovery, Alejandro Valverde. Now, an ex-teammate of Valverde, Jon Izagirre, who's now leading the Bahrain Merida team, so he's the team leader for the first time in the Tour de France, he also crashed, but get this, he fractured his lumbar. Oof. Another rider to come to grief on that treacherous circuit was Luke Durbridge of Orica Scott. He crashed, thankfully remounted, finished the time trial and actually started the next stage, but due to his injuries had to quit the Tour de France, sadly, and that means 3 riders are already out of the Tour.
Wow, it really is treacherous riding a time trial bike in those sorts of conditions, isn't it? Lots of other riders crashed. There were a trio of riders, in fact, from Team Lotto NL Jumbo who hit the deck. Amongst them was George Bennett. Now, thankfully, he did finish and he was quite all right in terms of his physical self. What I'm hoping, though, is that he didn't scratch his new shoes. Take a look at these. These are pretty cool.
New Zealand inspired. The weather conditions didn't get that much better on stage 2, although thankfully the roads were dry for the latter stages and the ensuing bunch sprint, which was won by Marcel Kittel, who was understandably overjoyed because of course the stage did start in Germany, and there was another milestone. He was the first ever rider to win a Tour de France stage on disc brakes. Yeah,
that is a huge milestone, really, isn't it? Taylor Phinney has been a standout performer so far. This is his debut Tour de France, riding for Cannondale Drapat. He was 12th in the opening time trial, and then got in the break on stage 2 and into the polka dot jersey as best climber. Now, Cy, again, got access to something brilliant, that being Taylor Phinney. He did a video about his time trialling tips. That seemed to go down very well with many of you, including Gumster, who put, "That is one zen-ass dude."
He is an ass dude though, isn't he?
He is, isn't he?
No numbers, just feel.
Yeah. Now, Matt, I do love to kick back on the sofa and watch the Tour de France throughout July when I'm not working for GCN, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, I wouldn't do work hours.
No.
But it seems like it's not only us that likes to do that, but also some of the pro riders. This was a tweet put up by Rory Sutherland of Team Movistar a couple of days before the race. But I hazard a guess that he wasn't quite so entertained on stage 1, given what happened to Alejandro Valverde, as he might have been.
Meanwhile, over in Italy, the Giro Rosa kicked off with an 11.5-kilometre team time trial. Now, Bols Dolmans were the last team off the ramp, and they ended up the winners, beating Team Sunweb by quite a hefty 19 seconds, and Carol Ann Canwell took over the leader's jersey.
Yeah, the following day was animated on the one and only climb of the stage by 3 big hitters, they being Annemiek van Vleuten, Anna van der Breggen and Aliso Longo Borghini. They worked incredibly well together to put 1 minute and 54 seconds into their rivals on the day. It was Van Vleuten who took the stage win, but Van der Breggen went into the leader's jersey by 18 seconds, courtesy of that strong performance from her team on the opening day. Stage 3, meanwhile, was the first opportunity for the sprinters, and that was taken out by Canyon SRAM's Hannah Barnes.
It's time now for Hack. Yes. / bodge of the week.
First up, this one is on Twitter from Craig Moyle. Spotted this in a Facebook group, in case you didn't make it through, hashtag GCN hack. A bike rack for a boat, that looks like to me.
It's actually quite a neat pro job, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess that will give you a means of transport when you get to your destination on the sea.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. Good point. Next up is this on Instagram. This is Joseph Jasper Thomas. Highboy, discovered in Stoke Newington. Somebody's already commented terrifying, and I would have to agree, that is absolutely how would you even steer? How do you even reach it?
Well, first up, when I first glanced at it, I thought it was a BMX handlebar, but it's not, and that is a complete bodge right there.
That's so dangerous.
Next up, Richard Beeston on Instagram posted this. Found a use for some old bottle cages while sorting out my workshop. That is genius. A bottle of gold hobgoblin. If there had been a WD-40 can instead of a GT85 one there, that would have been something for me and Si right there in that picture. That is definitely a hack.
And finally, we have this from @Langkawi Andy over on Twitter. How I remember which direction to undo my pedals. Neat little sign there, directional arrow on his pedals. I mean, quite often if I'm leaning on the wrong side of the bike or I'm a little bit tired, I sometimes just get it wrong. I tighten up rather than undoing all the other way around.
How does he know that that's not the direction to tighten the pedals in?
It's a good point.
Might get confused one day if he's tired.
Talking about getting confused, so I've got to cut across there. Talk about getting confused. You kindly the other day, while we're here in Alta Badia, put my pedals on my bike. Went up to my bike, and I thought, that's really kind of him. I had a close look. He'd actually screwed the pedal on the inside.
Purely accidental, and I'm not even joking. He thought it was a practical joke, but I didn't know what he was doing when he was taking the pedal off.
It was early in the morning, wasn't it?
It was very early in the morning, and I was very tired.
So
anyway,
funny.
Keep sending in your hacks and bodges on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram using the hashtag GCNHack.
On the channel this week, on Wednesday, how to use your gears more effectively.
When you swing both of the levers inwards, so the right and the left, firstly on the right, the lever being swung inwards changes you to a bigger cog at the back, which actually makes it easier. Now on here, I've got electric gears, so I'm just using the paddles. Now on the left-hand side, when you swing the mechanical lever inwards or tap the electric paddle, it makes it, or turns it onto a bigger cog at the front or a chainring, which is actually harder. And then when you tap the paddles or the button on the mechanical system, the opposite happens.
On Thursday, we've got 5 sprinting mistakes to avoid, and on Friday, it's Ask GC Anything.
Saturday's pro bike is Richie Port's Team BMC, and then on Sunday we've got a double whammy for you. First of all, an unboxing, should I say, of some shiny new DT Swiss wheels, plus there's a bonus video. How much difference does it make to sit behind a moto at the world's biggest races? And that one is very interesting indeed. On Monday we're back in the maintenance set, and on Tuesday it's Matt and I who will once again be bringing you the GCN show, but this time from the Tour de France.
235 from the Tour de France.
From the Hollywood sign in Los Angeles, California.
Welcome to the GCN Show!
It's time now for Xtreme Corner.
Yep, check out these two dudes in full face helmets on flat pedals, albeit in lycra, descending the Passo Valparola.
Dudes.
Ow.
That looked extreme, didn't it?
Did we do that?
That was us. Whether or not it was faster than just riding with clipless pedals and a normal helmet, you will have to wait and see. That video will be coming out reasonably soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the Global Cycling Network by clicking on the globe. And don't forget also that all our July merchandise is available at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com. You can find a link to that on the screen right now.
And to continue our theme of shiny new bikes, because it is our favourite month after all, how about clicking just down here for the Craftwork inspired Canyon, click just down there, and for the new Imonda Trek, click just down there.
No, the other way.
Just up there.
Yeah.
Just up there. Somewhere here.